Hey there, everybody. It's Sean Smith here with another episode of TLT Recap and Analysis. And a quick announcement to make. Thank you guys for putting up with all of the stuff that was happening around my schedule. But now, starting from next week, I'll be able to post videos a lot sooner. And I'll also be able to do that kind of stuff without the background noise, which will still be happening in this episode. So I apologize for that, but I hope that you guys can put up with it, and we will see how well I can do in the future. So first we're going to start off with the usual recapping the round 2 matchups, and then we're going to be going down and breaking down the round 3 matchups. And not this episode, but starting probably next episode, I'll be able to go kind of more in depth. I have been watching all the matches, so I do want to kind of put my 2 cents in there, but I of course also want to be talking more in depth about each of the specific storylines, especially going forward into the future. So some of these matchups aren't marked because they happened right after the deadline, which was today, and so they've now all happened. So Akashi or Jaren versus Satsat happened. Um, this series got me a little confused because I wasn't sure who locked what, but Satsat won PU and then Jaren won Mono and the other tier, which I believe was um, I don't remember actually, but yeah, I remember that the series was a little weird. Um, I didn't really like how it panned out. I think it does show, however, that I don't really have a ton of confidence in Satsa going forward because it looks like he doesn't have that strong of a um, playing field outside of his like comfort zones, I guess. I wasn't too sure. Wait, actually, we can just check what the third game was. Um, LC, that's right. So Sasa won PU, and then Jaren won the other two. I don't really see that as being like, oh, um, Jaren played amazing, even though I think Satsa is a really good player. I do think that he didn't play that well in the closing moments of the series, and I think he could have done better. I do think Jaren has options to go farther in this tournament, especially because his side of the bracket isn't as hard. He's going to be able to probably be able to beat Bandrizzle LOL, which is Hangwini's PS name, and then he'll face GXC or Friso in the winners semifinals. Um, so if he can win, or I think he has a very winnable matchup against Hangwini in the next round in round 4, and then it'll be on him to win against GXC or Friso. So he could potentially make it pretty far. Um, but that could also be said about Hangwini Bandrizolol, who played pretty well in his match. And from what I've seen, he is a pretty good player, so I wouldn't say that like Jaren has a free matchup or anything. Um, but definitely this side of the bracket is a little bit easier compared to like GXC versus Friso, who I think both of those two players are very, very good. And then myself versus Ham, which is also going to be very fun and interesting to play. Um, but let's keep talking about some of the matchups that happened last week. So Banjo played against Tactical Facepalms, and I think he played very well. Also better known as Casual.exe. Banjo and Casual.exe had a very interesting match. I still haven't had a good sense of gauging them against some of the players I know very well. So they could both be very good, but they could also both be kind of like just above average players as well. So they're definitely not bad because I definitely saw their games and was like, okay, they're pretty impressive. But like you have to gauge against the competition I already know of, right? So I don't know how good they are compared to the top players like Friso, GXC, myself, and like Nat or whatever, and Ham and those guys. But I do think that they have potential to go far in this tournament. GXC also played Insania 21, and that was very clean on his end. I don't really have that much to say about this one. He took 2 games pretty quickly, um, and basically showing up as I expected GXC to. Friso versus Plimsoll Punks also was, I believe it actually did go 3 games, but Friso did take it. So, you know, not that much to say there. Nat took that series against SMB in 2 games, winning RU and UU. Where that UU game was actually very close because, well, not very close, but if SMB had gotten a few more flinches, he could have potentially won with Togekiss. It wasn't too unlikely, but Nat did solidly take 2 games. However, it's not. It shouldn't. I should say that this is kind of like a deceptionally big win or margin, because even though the 2 games or the UU game didn't look that close, it could have easily turned in SMB's favor. And then if SMB had won that game, I think that it'd be very likely that he would beat Nat in doubles, which Nat I don't think has any experience in. So definitely um, could have been a different series if SMB hadn't managed to um, win. I think it is a little interesting that he chose to play Yu and save doubles for game 3. I feel like having the momentum and at least bringing it to a game 3 can kind of change the course of the series. But maybe some people have like different views on it. They would rather lose 2-0 than um, you know go to a game 3 and then lose 2-1 there. But I don't know. Cificon also beat Balor. I think Balor didn't play all too well. Um, there are definitely some things that he could have done better. I think he complained a little bit. And Cificon, he got a pretty good matchup, but like at the same time, they were definitely not like unlosable or whatever. And so I think Balor should really be looking at, if he does want to go to that next level, he wants to really think about improving his play more rather than his complaining about whatever other factors go into the game. And prep is also a part of the game, so it is part of it. And I think that Nat versus Cificon will be very one-sided. I am very surprised that Cificon has been doing so well, because I thought he was like pretty garbage after the BLT, because he made so many big misplays during the BLT games. But he's gotten better, or maybe his opponents just aren't showing or exploiting him as much. And then I beat Young, Dumb, and Woke. I think this game, I lost LC. I don't too much, or the matchup was pretty bad, I remember, but yeah, I could have probably played it better. And then I won RU with Torterra. I had a really weird janky team that kind of took him off guard, and I had a really good matchup with Torterra with so a bunch of different stuff that was like pretty interesting, and that was fun. And then I took Yu. He probably could have won if he played the sequence correctly, but I think he said he misclicked or whatever. Not too sure what he could have. If I could have still potentially won without the misclick. I'm not too sure. I would need to go back and see the sequence of events are played out again, but it's definitely possible I could have lost that series. It was pretty close. And then him easily beat Surfy Teen, and Surfy Teen actually lost this round in winners as well, or losers as well, so he's out of the tournament. Prince of All Tacos beat Gorefield or Doll in the Woods, which is expected. Took care of business. PCD beat King of Crimea, who once again has had continual bad runs in like leaderboard tournaments. Arsenine beat Pokeart, which was to be expected. Plaz beat Fragments, also expected. And then Lugia and Numer upset Ominous Draco, which is very surprising to me, which this I thought was one of the most one-sided matchups. And pretty impressed with Lugia and Numer. It's a good win for him, and he's going to have to go up against, I believe, somebody else, but we'll talk about that in a bit. And then Poison Adhesive beat Cam, which we already talked about in the last episode. And then PD over Sensei Axio and Roginald over MJ. Roginald over MJ isn't too surprising, because I have been hearing that from MJ himself, that he, has been prioritizing other stuff over Mons recently. So I did kind of say that if MJ did care a lot about this match, that he would win. But if he doesn't, then Reginald can definitely take this win. And then PD beat Sensei Axio. So all things that I kind of anticipated, but other than the ominous Draco loss. But we can move on towards the round 3 and talk a little bit about the matchups, which is kind of probably what people are more looking forward to. So Principal Tacos beat Surf 18 in relatively clean matches. I think Principal Tacos is kind of going to struggle though in when he plays against better players, and I don't think Surf 18 is at that level yet. Some of his team choices have been very interesting. I would say bad, especially in tiers outside of NU, where he has the expertise. Some of his LC team in this round was very much, I would say, very suspect, and I think that if he plays against better players, then it would definitely get exploited like pretty heavily. Like this kind of team doesn't necessarily lend well to winning in general, I guess, but it's just not a good reflection on him. But maybe he didn't have to show his hand is also kind of could be part of it. But yeah, I mean, in NU, I think he is going to be one of the better players. But outside of NU, which it's going to have continually more importance as the tour continues to be able to win in tiers that you aren't comfortable with, because the top players aren't going to just roll over in your main tier either. So you have to be able to challenge them in kind of the you have to win your main tier, you have to challenge them in that neutral tier, you have to be able to take these other tiers, and people who can't do that at a high level are going to continue to struggle moving forward. So Principal Tacos, I think that he has potential to move forward, but he's going to have a tough opponent next round between Young, Dumb, and Woke and PCD. So we'll see how that ends up. I think Young, Dumb, and Woke had showed a really good match versus me outside of kind of a really suspect endgame in Yu. He should have probably won that. And beating me in LC is definitely no easy feat, considering I was like a finalist. So I have a lot of confidence in him. I do think PCD is a good player, but he has kind of unorthodox teams, and maybe that can become an advantage for him. But I think Young Demilwook should be able to take this. I think he's very solid, and I have a lot of faith in him after playing against him. Arsenal versus Balor, I think Arsenal will take this pretty easily if he, focuses up and plays to the level he was playing at BLT. Or even last round, I think Arsenal has a lot of potential to be like a top player and is one of the kind of rising players in our scene. I definitely think that he is going to be able to beat Balor, who I don't think has had a good showing. Even with the round 1 win, I don't really see him as like that, top player maybe. SMB versus Plaz, which is definitely going to be the highlight match of this week. I definitely see SMB taking this though. While Plaz is a very good player, I think a couple of things work against him here. I think part of it is that he doesn't there isn't as much stake for him here in TLT as some of the other players, and I don't think he cares as much, especially now that he's in losers, as SMB does, who I think will put a lot more emphasis on TLT. I think he generally will try hard in every tour. I think Plaz is not always like that. He generally will kind of drop out of some tours, especially when he has more things to commit to, like real life or Snake in this case, which I think is going to take priority for him. So I see SMB really taking this just by the merit of he's going to prep better and care more about the match. But I mean, I could see Plaz winning as well if he gives his full effort and he does this like play well kind of stuff. Then I do think that he can win, especially in the other two tiers. I think he has the versatility to match up to SMB. So I could see Plaz winning, but I think SMB is going to win on merit of better prep and whatnot. Plumswell Punks versus Lugia Numere. I think on one hand, Plumswell Punks hasn't showed a very good TLT so far, and on the other hand, Lugia Numere has showed a very good TLT. from their expected trajectories, but I do still think that Plimsoll-Punks is a better player overall. If I see Lugia and Numer kind of take a few more wins, maybe this one in the next round against Insania 21 or Poison Adhesive, then I could maybe see a little bit of hype getting behind him. But at the current moment, I still have Plimsoll-Punks as the better player. I would favor him, but only slightly, maybe like 55-45 or something, considering the trajectories that they're currently on. I definitely can see this match being won by either player, though. In Insania 21 versus Poison Adhesive, I think Poison Adhesive is going to be favored here. I think he's showed a much better round 2 against Cam than he did in the round 1 matchup. And so I do have more faith in him. I do think that he can be at that level. In Insania 21, I still have a lot of question marks about. I don't really know how good he is. And I haven't seen enough from him to really say. And then Reginald versus Technical Facepalms. I still think that Reginald is the better player here. After playing against him, I think that he has a lot of potential, but I once again haven't played against Technical Facepalms, and maybe this is the measuring stick, and if he shows a really good match and wins this one, then I'll have a lot of faith in him moving forward, because I think that Reginald is a very good player, so that Tactical Face Palms can definitely kind of prove his worth if he does win this match. PD versus Satsat, which is the last match of this round. A would-be highlight prior to this this TLT, I would definitely have called this a highlight match. But I actually am not as high about this as before, mostly because I think both of these players have had kind of poor showings, whether that be team selection or playing ability. I would definitely favor Satsat, though. I think he's more in touch with other metas and has kind of experience in outside places. But I don't know how much. I mean, PD, if he continues to have those connections and he continues to play better, then I could see him kind of ramping up and maybe making a longer losers run than maybe I gave him credit for after round 1. But I would still favor Satsa here. I think Satsa has been is probably a little bit better, and considering how his match went against Jaren, and I consider Jaren to be much better than PD, I do think that he's probably going to be favored here. So that's my video. Thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, then leave a like, and if you didn't, then I don't know why you're watching. My videos will start picking up in both quality and speed starting next week, so apologies once again, and thank you guys for sticking in there for these past few weeks where it's been kind of hard for me to make videos and make them at a timely manner. So I hope that you guys can continue to support me, and I'll try to continue to put them out as quickly as I can. So with that, I'll see you guys next week for round 4 of TLT. Luckily, I don't have to play this week, so nice break for this travel week where I have to go back to school. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys next week.